everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another coaching video for you guys, and today's battles were submitted by Okay Bro Let's Go on Pokemon Go. And I'm not just saying that, that's his username. Anyways, this battler used the Jungle Cup team that I recommended a few days ago in my video. It is the Shadow Dragonite with Vigoroth, Safe Swap, and Mantine in the back team. And I was not expecting this team to become as popular as it became. So if you're sick and tired of hearing about this team, I'm sorry, but this player submitted these battles to me, and because I've run this team into the ground for the past several days, I thought it would be nice to give him some suggestions, look at his gameplay, and see where I would make changes. The advice I'm going to give in this video is going to be very specific and nitpicky, so I'm going to be pointing out the smallest little details. And that's because based on what I've seen from these matches, this player is already a decent battler. He said he's stuck in the 2200s, which is, I would say at this point in the season, a pretty decent elo. So my advice is not going to be as general as it was in the previous video where the player was a complete beginner. Now before I start, I just want to say to everyone, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Not everything I say is always going to be like the correct play. I'm just going to make suggestions based on what I've seen in some of the battles that I've played, and some of the things I'm going to point out are going to be situational. Also, I want everyone to remember that it's okay to want to learn and it's okay to make mistakes. We're all here to improve, so just keep that in mind. Alrighty, that's enough rambling from me. Let's get into these battles. Okay, first match, it looks like you are going to be getting a good lead, which is Whiscash. Just watch out, some of them are running Blizzard these days for the Mantines. But either way, against Whiscash, you are going to have to shield one of the Scalds anyways if you want to win the lead, because Scald is going to be doing a lot of damage to Dragonite. You can see here, it's going to put you in the yellow, so another one is going to KO, unfortunately. But your opponent swaps into a Steelix, and we're a little bit slow on the swap into Vigoroth. It's okay, it happens to all of us, but it took 2 Dragon Tails, and now you are in Mudshot range, believe it or not. Now, I want to see the move timing here. If you do 4 counters, 4, okay, perfect move timing. So I think you have all of the mechanics down, I would assume. I watched all of these battles before and nothing really stood out as being bad gameplay. Also, he does something here that's really impressive. He recognizes that he can fully farm down the Steelix. I think I would have chickened out. No, it's pretty obvious that you can farm down the Steelix because you can take it out in 2 counters before the second Dragon Tail's damage is going to register on Vigoroth. So nice job farming that Steelix down and not throwing the body slam. You're able to take a shield from them also on their Vigoroth, so that's good. And bringing in Dragonite here to take their final shield is completely fine. You can then swap into Mantine, and then Mantine is just going to do what it does best. And you have 2 shields for it, so you should be in a good position to take this win. Now I know in the message you sent me, you told me you didn't have any charged TMs to remove the Ice Beam for Water Pulse. I do recommend running this team with Water Pulse on Mantine. So it's really unfortunate that you can't take that Ice Beam off. I have actually tried running the team where I had Ice Beam on the Mantine in place of Water Pulse, and it was really terrible for me because I needed the Water Pulse a lot more than I needed the Ice Beam. At one point, my opponent only had a Steelix left, and I just needed the Water Pulse to take it out. I couldn't. My opponent was able to reach 2 moves and take Mantine out. So if you have a charged TM to spare, I would highly recommend swapping that move out. Also, Water Pulse is going to do more damage than Ice Beam. I know technically Ice Beam has a higher damage value than Water Pulse, but because it is on Mantine, Mantine gets Stab on Water Pulse, and Water Pulse ends up doing more damage. Stab is same type attack boost. I completely understand that the TM system in Pokemon Go right now is not the greatest. You need to raid to get them, and even when you raid, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get them. Even me, I'm running really low on charge TMs right now. It's really annoying. I really hope they rework this whole system. Anyways, in the next game, it looks like you are going to get a Vigoroth lead. The way I like to play this lead is I will double shield Dragonites and come out of the match with a lot of energy. Now here, you let the body slam go, and this is where I'm going to say a big no. Your Dragonite is your most valuable Pokemon on the team, so you want to protect it. The back 2 Pokemon you have will be able to take hits. Dragonite can't. Also, you went for the superpower on the Vigoroth, I would have gone for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw, either way, is going to get shields from your opponent. So always go straight Dragon Claw against the Vigoroth and also stay in with the Dragonite. Now, your opponent has a Lantern in the back. You get really lucky here that you draw it out with Vigoroth. So even if you stayed in... Actually, let's just watch this. I believe your opponent has a Skarmory here in the back, and there's not much that you would be able to do against this team anyways. This is just a automatic loss, honestly. Even if you saved your Dragonite, it is an automatic loss. There are some teams that we're just not going to be able to win against, and that's unfortunately how the game is. So I think in this situation, your opponent, yes, they have that Skarmory in the back. So Lantern and Skarmory backline, almost impossible for this team to win against. But going back to the Vigoroth matchup in the lead, I will double shield Dragonites, and usually you'll come out of that match with a lot of energy on your Dragonite. You will, so you'll go straight Dragon Claw. Your opponent will shield your Dragon Claw, but then after you go for the first Dragon Claw, you can commit to a full farm down on the Vigoroth. And then you'll come out of that with a lot of energy. Let's say your opponent brings back in the Skarmory, you'll be able to superpower the Skarmory, and then your opponent is going to have to make the decision if they want to shield that superpower or if they want to save their final shield, because they will have one shield after the Dragonite and Vigoroth matchup. On the other hand, if they bring in Lantern, you might be able to reach 2 Dragon Claws on the Lantern, get it really low, and then come in with Vigoroth and farm the Lantern down, and then have energy for Skarmory. So in that case, the match might have been winnable, but it's really, really tricky. Alright, now Lantern is difficult to deal with. Double shielding against it is perfectly fine. You definitely do not want it to align to Mantine. So in this situation, I will go straight Dragon Claw. You can no shield the first Surf, and you will be able to reach 2 Dragon Claws and take a Surf. But you won't be able to reach a Dragon Claw and a Superpower. So you go for that first Dragon Claw, perfectly fine. And let's see if your opponent decides to shield or not. They shield Lantern. This is not good. Just go for that Dragon Claw. You need that damage on the Lantern, but it looks like you went for the Superpower. I would not have gone for that. Even if the Lantern lived that Dragon Claw, you can then come in with Vigoroth and farm the Lantern down. Even if the Lantern lived, it would have lived with 1 HP, and it looks like it only did 7 sparks on the Dragonite, so it wouldn't have been able to get to a Thunderbolt. And I think 1 counter would have been enough to take it out, so they would have been forced to throw a Surf on Vigoroth, and then you would have had that option to save your second shield. So in this match against Vigoroth, you would have had 2 shields left, and you would have been perfectly fine shielding that Body Slam. But here, when you use your final shield up against your opponent and you still don't know what they have in the back, it's a very dangerous move. Usually, if I still don't know what my opponent has in the back, I will save that shield. Really nice catching the Body Slam here, by the way. But it's all going to come down to what your opponent has in the back. You really have to hope that Mantine can handle whatever it is. It's going to be a Skarmory, unfortunately. Of course, going for that Ice Beam. Like I said, Water Pulse is going to be doing a little bit more damage. Water Pulse will do 41 damage to Skarmory, whereas Ice Beam is doing 39. But this is another really tricky situation for you where you can't really blame the battler, because Lantern and Skarmory on the same team are going to be giving us such a hard time. I'm just going to speed up the rest of the match because we all know how this is going to go. Skarmory is going to be able to take Mantine out. They even commit to a farm down, which is really well played by your opponents, and then they are going to have that Sky Attack ready for your Vigoroth and take you out. So really unfortunate there, but that is another team that is going to be very difficult to deal with. Your opponents are playing really well for 2200 elo, by the way. Alright, so Clodsire is another one of those double shield situations. I really don't like going 2 shields down on the lead, by the way, but the best way I've found to play Shadow Dragonite lead is to double shield it against neutral leads. So in this case, it looks like your opponent goes ahead and double shields their Clodsire, which is going to be really good for you. This lead is actually really nice for Shadow Dragonite because you win in the 2 shields. So if your opponent invests 2 shields here, they actually aren't going to be able to take you out if you invest both your shields as well. You come out of this with a really, really healthy Dragonite. Your next Dragon Claw will be enough to take the Clodsire out, combined with the Dragon Breath damage. And you come out of that with a really healthy Dragonite, and you'll have it for whatever your opponent is going to have in the back. Now, in this situation, your opponent realized that they were going to lose that, and they swap into Abomasnow. You have 2 answers to Abomasnow in the back, so you are going to be perfectly fine. You bring in Vigoroth, which actually I think would be the correct play in case your opponent has a flyer in the back. So nice choice there. And then your opponent brings the Clodsire back into Vigoroth, going for this Body Slam, but it's not enough to take the Clodsire out. And your opponent is going to be forced to throw because your Vigoroth was going to be able to take it out. So this was a really good team for the team that you're running. Bringing in Mantine here is perfectly fine. You can farm the Clodsire down. And it looks like your opponent does have that flyer in the back. I didn't watch this match before, guys, by the way, but we called it correctly. They do have a flyer in the back. So when I said that bringing in Vigoroth was the correct play, it was definitely a good play there. Now we went over Clodsire lead and we saw how dominant that matchup was for Dragonite with 2 shields. But another lead that is going to be similar to Clodsire, but a lot trickier, is Quagsire, because Quagsire can bait with the Aqua Tails. If they bait, they will be able to land a Stone Edge on you if they double shield. So Quagsire is a lot more tricky than Clodsire on the lead. You just have to... Well, I don't call the bait. I still double shield Dragonite anyways, and if I have to, I might try to catch a Stone Edge on my Vigoroth if I mess up and I shield a bait. But that was the last battle I had to review. I just have a couple notes that I want to give to finish off with here. My first note is shield your Dragonite more. Trust me, it is going to flip matches for you. I know it's risky going shields down, but Dragonite is your most important Pokemon on the team. The second note I want to make is, based on your playstyle, I would actually recommend swapping the Shadow Dragonite out for perhaps an Altaria, because that way Altaria can take hits if you don't want to shield Body Slams, if you don't want to shield Skulls. Altaria is going to be that Pokemon that is going to be able to take all of those moves, and I feel like it will suit your playstyle a little bit better. I did try the team with Altaria lead. It also worked really nicely, and also Altaria lead is going to be able to win against Dragonite leads. Aside from that, mechanically, I think your gameplay is fine. I don't see any glaring mistakes that I need to point out. So I guess just keep going, just keep playing, and eventually you will be able to climb. I don't know how much I was able to help you with the advice I gave you in this video. I feel like most of it maybe you could have guessed on your own, but I tried my best and I really hope it helps you. But that is going to bring us to the end of our video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like, it helps me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!